Greetings, all you vengeful Borg queens out there, and welcome to the Inner Four Lights, a watch of Star Trek Picard Season 3. My name is Fletcher, about to say hello is Data.
Hola.
We're also the host of Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast, Undeclared Bajor, available on the Fletcher from the Deep YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this. So, if after today, there's no more Star Trek Picard, you want someone to listen to, you need someone to keep you company while you're working away, processing claims or whatever, come listen to that podcast. And I'll put a link to the YouTube channel in the show notes if you're one of our Apple Podcasts people. Make it a little easier for you to find that. Or you can just go into the thing and search for Undeclared Bajor. Or you can go to undeclaredbajor.com, which will just link directly to the YouTube channel. So
Fancy.
Oh, yeah. But today, we're going to recap, discuss, and theorize. The series is over, but that won't stop us. About Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 10/Part 10, The Last Generation. Alternate title, Return of the Boomers.
Yeah, okay. I'll allow it.
This will be a full spoiler discussion. This episode was written by Terry Matalas and directed by Terry Matalas.
Matalas, yep.
Yay.
According to the wiki, this was it's the second episode in the history of the franchise to credit the same person as the sole writer and director. In this case, showrunner Terry Matalas.
Oh, wow. Like in all of Star Trek?
Yep. The first time it happened was the original series episode Elon of Troyes, which was written and directed by John Meredith Lucas.
Huh. All right. Good job, Terry Matalas.
Yep.
I guess. It's pretty easy to do when you're the showrunner, I guess. But
you're like, I'm going to make it me. I'll be the director. Also the writer.
And I will kill that other guy. Okay, so in this episode, the crew of the Enterprise on their way back to Earth listen as President Anton Chekhov broadcasts an emergency speech to the effect of, well, looks like we're all fucked, but good luck, everybody. Anton Chekhov, the inventor of Chekhov's gun.
I saw some stuff that was like, this is a nice way to honor not only, Pavel Chekhov of the original series, but also
Anton Yelchin.
Anton Yelchin, yeah, from who played Chekhov and died.
Yep, yeah, very sad. And, a nod to Anton Chekhov, inventor of Chekhov's gun. Mm. So, win-win-win.
Walter Koenig, it says, also the first original series main cast actor to make an appearance on Star Trek since George Takei appeared in a Lower Decks episode, but in a live-action series, the first since Leonard Nimoy appeared in Star Trek Into Darkness.
I mean, I'm not super impressed by that statistic. But
yeah, it's not really that long a time on either of those.
Good for him. Good for him. Playing, I guess we're led to believe this is Pavel Chekhov's son.
Yeah, given he quotes his dad and then goes into Russian dad accent.
Yeah, he quotes his dad, but his dad could be anybody.
Yeah, according to the wiki, his dad is Pavel Chekhov,
okay.
But that, who knows?
Sure. I mean, it's like, if you would have said, as my dad said, we've got to find the nuclear vessels, then we would know for sure.
I think Pavel Chekhov was supposedly head of Starfleet or something at some point. I guess his son has gone on to become president of the Federation.
Sure. Why not? So Picard says something about the Borg being here, and Data is like, yep, I found a Borg ship at Jupiter.
Yeah, I was like, so wait, there's not just a Borg ship, it's like a really, really big Borg ship.
Uh-huh.
That they created a transwarp conduit inside the gases of Jupiter. And I was like, so they somehow snuck in a transwarp conduit in the middle of what is probably the most monitored system in the entire Federation. All right, if you say so.
Borg are sneaky like that. So yeah, they warp to Jupiter, and Picard notices a speck on the great red spot, although he points to a completely different part of the screen. He's like, look at that, and the speck is way over there. But they zoom in and see that it is indeed a Borg cube hidden in the gases of Jupiter.
A Borg cube with like a bunch of antennas sticking out of it for some reason that I'm like,
Yeah.
did they really need those antennas? Like,
they got to broadcast all that jack juice or whatever. Also, I'll point out there is some scientific debate about how long the Great Red Spot has left. So, who knows if it'll actually be there in the year 2501, or 2401, but whatever. Beverly uses her signal analysis skills to confirm that Jack's mind control signal is broadcasting from the cube. What began over 35 years ago ends tonight, says Picard.
Why is it night? I don't know. Space.
Yeah. But maybe just like the clock on their ship says it's night. I'm pretty sure he said tonight.
He did, because I noticed it when he said it, and I was just like, is it night? I don't think we've established that, but all right.
It looks like day down on Jupiter.
It sounds really dramatic, sure, but anyway.
Meanwhile, the space dock orbiting Earth takes fire from approximately 1 million bajillion phasers.
Yeah, that was my very first note. It's like, I find it hard to believe Space Dock could stand up to that large a fleet going all out for any length of time. Like, we've never seen anything in the Star Trek universe, except maybe a Borg cube, that's like, you have 100 ships shooting at me? I'm fine.
I mean, Earth planetary defenses, I would hope, are pretty strong, but...
Apparently they're all centered around this one space dock,
yeah.
Which it seems generates like a planetary shield for Earth, given what we see later.
Yeah, that's...
but it's not within the shield that it... I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it is within the shield, that's why they have to shoot so many phasers.
Yeah, maybe.
But Raffi, Seven, and their remaining over 25-year-old crew members of the Titan manage to retake the bridge with special transporter guns that lock the assimilated crew in the transporter room.
That Raffi apparently developed just like on the go with a box of scraps and for the first time ever. And Seven's like, oh my gosh, you may have just made like this huge advancement. And
even though we've seen them do stuff like this before, like in Star Trek Insurrection, right?
Yeah, in Insurrection, I was going to say, they're like shooting tags at people to beam them away. I don't know. I guess it's not exactly the same. I don't know. But, or maybe Seven of Nine just didn't know about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she wasn't there for that, obviously.
But also, only the bridge crew seemed to get the beaming treatment. Like, they were running down hallways shooting people before this.
It's like, you're dead. You're dead. Okay, these main characters that have lines, send them to the transporter room.
Yeah.
Seven orders the ship's cook to the helm over his objections.
He's like, I'm just the cook. I took a flying class one time, but I didn't even finish because my mom got sick, and then my brother had a hernia, and it was ridiculous, but it was great.
It's like, no, you're going to use your 3 weeks of pilot class to take the helm.
Also, I'm unhappy to find out that in the future, a hernia is also a long-term, like, crippling ailment that they can't fix immediately.
That's true. Maybe on his planet. Or maybe his species, like a hernia, is a really big problem. I don't know.
True. But then Seven here has my favorite line where it's like, we have to do something before the collective knows we've retaken the ship. And I'm like, but they're a collective. Yeah. They should already know.
Yeah, it's too late. Also, it's kind of pointless because they haven't retaken the ship, or they retook the bridge, but they're still under the control of the like synchronizing system or whatever.
Right. And then, oh my gosh, and then they get away from that by turning on the cloak, because it's like it's a point-to-point like visual system that controls the ships. And I was like,
it's line of sight, which they interpret to mean they have to literally see you to be able to control you.
And I'm like, that is the worst possible way to set up this system, because it's like, oh no, another ship flew between two of our ships. They can no longer see each other. So like now the control is broken. Really? That's how you set that up?
Yeah, that's yeah. The whole thing's a dumb idea. The whole thing obviously just exists to help assimilate the Earth anyway. So they weren't thinking too hard about the actual practical applications.
But it's really not even
in Starfleet.
It's not even necessary for the assimilation storyline, because you have people on each ship under 25 taking over the ships. So there's no reason all the ships have to like be in some sort of lockstep weird linky thing.
This is a good point. But back on the Enterprise, Deanna uses her powers to find Jack. But her overall usefulness, or she tries to, but her overall usefulness has apparently not improved.
Yeah.
And then Data uses this moment to say that he hates the Borg.
Yep. He's like, oh, I'm going to kill some more Borg.
I hate them. Luckily, the Borg dropped their shields in an apparent invitation for some reason.
For some reason.
It's like, come on in, the Enterprise.
Well, and the thing is, like, when Picard gets there later, the Borg Queen has a whole speech to give to him, but doesn't, like, want to assimilate him or anything. In fact, is actively opposed to that.
Yeah.
So why did she invite anyone on? I don't understand.
Well, so that he could watch his futures end.
Yeah.
She just brought him on there to, like, taunt him, I guess.
You could do that over the comms.
But yeah, Picard reasons that there's got to be a beacon somewhere on the cube that's mind controlling all the young Starfleet people, and they need to find it and blow it up. Beverly is able to analyze the brain signals or something coming from the cube and believes she can use the information to locate Jack. So Picard, Riker, and Worf volunteer to beam to the cube to find Jack and the beacon.
Yeah, Worf's going to make it a threesome.
Yeah, I will make it a threesome. Riker's
that is a great line where Riker's just like, do you even hear yourself when you say these things?
Data wants to go too, in a very out of character bit of ego for Data, but is told that he's more valuable on the Enterprise. I feel like in reality this scene would go, it's like, don't you want to come too, Data? He was like, as much as I want to go, I must admit that I'm more useful here on the Enterprise, or whatever.
Well, he has emotions now, so
okay.
that can get around his logic. But it turns out that he is way more useful on the Enterprise, so it works out.
Picard turns the con over to Geordi, probably as he is not only the highest ranking active officer there, but also the only one still in Starfleet left on the bridge.
Yeah. No, my first thought was honestly like, wait, but Data's always been second officer. Shouldn't he be in charge? And I was like, oh, wait, Geordi is now a Commodore, and Data... Like, this Data didn't even exist before, so I don't even know if he counts as having any ranks. So, okay, this makes sense.
Also, Geordi, like, rebuilt the Enterprise himself, so...
Yeah.
It's just probably the best option all around. Then Picard tells them all what an honor it's been serving with them, and then he and Worf and Riker head out. They beam onto the cube to find it disturbingly still and quiet. They find drones dead in their regeneration alcoves, being slowly consumed to provide sustenance for something.
Yeah, that's weird. I feel like there's got to be better ways of
Yeah.
getting sustenance than that, but whatever.
I'm going to wait till this siren goes away.
Sure.
Who has an emergency on a Sunday? Give me your Beverly calls in that she found where Jack probably is, which conveniently it's like right below them.
Yeah, one floor down.
In that ginormous cube that they beamed onto a seemingly random spot in. But
seems to be much larger than regular Borg cube. Somebody on Reddit was like, this looks like it's at least, like, given the scale when you put the Enterprise next to it, they're like, this looks like it's at least 10 times larger than the normal cube. And somebody else is like, well, I mean, it takes up a lot of this great spot, and can't, like, several Earths fit into the great spot? So it's a big cube.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can see it on the Great Red Spot is like, it's got to be pretty big. But I mean, it's the Queen's cube, so it's like, Darth Vader's ship is like 10 times bigger than all the other.
It's true.
Star Destroyers. Like, it casts that big awesome shadow. So yeah, Picard announces that it's time for him to do his final part of the mission himself, while Worf and Riker go to find the beacon. He gives them some emotional final farewells before setting off to rescue his son. It's like, there are two things a Klingon doesn't admit to knowing how to say. One of them is farewell.
It's, Worf's got some good Klingon moments.
Sure.
I love his bit about, like, since I've never wept, I don't,
You're right.
I can't really speak to it, but...
reminding us that Klingons are not supposed to have tear ducts. So Picard quickly finds Jack, who is now in Locutus-style Borg getup.
Yep.
And in some sort of trance-like state, monologuing various Borg talking points. Also there is the Borg Queen. What's left of her decrepit body fused to the ship with pipes and hoses, like something out of the twisted imagination of H.R. Giger.
And she's very bitter at... I don't know if it's Picard specifically or humanity for what they did to her, because, like, she says you, and like accusingly at Picard, but I was like, Picard didn't really do this to you. It was like Janeway that did this to you, to be fair.
Yeah.
But you didn't get her here for revenge.
It's all the same to her. It's like
just on the topic, we don't see Janeway at all, which I feel like after they've mentioned her a million times, I feel like we should have seen.
There's several people I'm disappointed not to see. Yeah, that's a good point though. I guess if Janeway would have conveniently had a son who had Borg powers, she would have preferred to use him for her revenge. But,
yeah, sure.
She's got to make do with what she has. Back on the Titan, they detect the Enterprise and put together what they're trying to do. They figure that they can break out of Borg control if they cloak or something. We already talked about how weird that is. Seven decides to try to hold off the fleet for as long as possible to buy the Enterprise time, and gives a rousing captain's speech.
There's just no way that the one ship against the entire fleet is going to buy any amount of extra time. And like my note is, there's got to be something more productive you can do.
Yeah,
we're going to take on the whole fleet.
It's like buy them 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like the show needs something for these characters to do to be heroic, because they wouldn't let them go along on the Enterprise trip.
Right.
So they're like, okay, well, we'll have them sound like they're trying to hero really hard, even though it's not going to do anything.
Sure, yeah. That's a good point. Their whole thing doesn't really accomplish anything, but whatever. So they start off on an attack pattern of cloaking, uncloaking, firing real fast, cloaking, repeat.
Yeah, and my note is, apparently the Titan can just take the whole fleet. No one bothers to attack as they're cloaking and unshielded. There's a reason you can't usually just cloak mid-battle,
right? Because
you have to drop your shields, so then you get shot and destroyed. But apparently that's not an issue for them.
I'm a little confused too, because when they uncloak, isn't that when they go back under control?
Supposed to, yes.
So how are they able to fire when they're uncloaked?
I think they specifically say at one point, it's like, oh, we have to cloak again before the thing has a chance to get us.
Oh, okay. So there's like a time, like you have to do like a handshake or something to regain control. Why not? Back on the cube, Picard gets outraged when the Queen describes herself as Jack's mother. So he opens fire with his phaser, which has no effect. And she's like, ha 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 ha.
Should have brought a Tommy gun.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised they didn't do that, because they love calling back to stuff. But
yep, it's like, yeah, I figured that phaser wouldn't work, and then he just like pulls out of nowhere this machine gun. Yeah. That would have been hilarious.
But the Queen rants about being left alone out in space, blah 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 blah. No voices to keep her company, until she heard Jack's. Now she has invited Picard here to witness his future's end. Now that there's a way to write Borgness directly into people's DNA, there's no need for assimilation. That's right. The Borg can now fuck.
I don't know that... I mean, I guess if it's the only thing left that she can do, then fine. I guess that's... She's like, this is how I get Borg back. And also, I'm not going to bother assimilating people. I'm going to just destroy shit. But I was like, this doesn't feel like the Borg ever. Like, this feels like something else entirely, where you're like, no, I no longer want to combine, like, technological and biological. I no longer want to assimilate. I'm just really pissed off and going to destroy everything.
I just want to have a species mind controlled by me, and then we go out and kill everybody. Meanwhile, Riker and Worf figure out how to get to the beacon, but they get attacked by some drones.
Who are the best hand-to-hand combat drones I think we've ever seen.
Yep.
The Borg usually are not, they don't have a lot of martial arts under their belt, I feel like.
Their usual tactic of just walking towards you while you shoot them or hit them with a sword has been updated, I guess.
It's like the Matrix, and the Borg are like, I know Kung Fu.
Things are not looking good until Worf reveals he has a phaser in his sword.
Which... It may be one of the funniest moments when he hands Riker the sword. Riker's like, holy crap, I had no idea this was this heavy.
He hands him the sword, it immediately drops to the ground.
It's like, and you had a phaser in your sword this whole time, and you're just now pulling this out? Riker and Worf have been funny in their interactions.
Good comedy duo. He's like, swords are more fun.
And I guess because like Worf went out with his wife for a while when between times that they were together, so there's like this awkward thing happening. I don't know.
Also, the Borg ship starts firing on the Enterprise. But it's okay because it gives Beverly a chance to show off her badass phaser and torpedo skills.
Yep, that is a great moment where they're like, okay, you're going to have to target this manually. And then she like shoots really well and everyone
She's like,
just turns and stares at her.
Yep.
She's like, lots happened in the last 20 years.
She's gotten a lot of new skills, apparently.
Yeah, good for her is what I say. But
always be improving yourself. You're never too old to learn new things.
My note here is the Enterprise takes a pounding from a Borg cube. No big.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the Titan can stand up to the entire fleet. The Enterprise, who's never been able to solo a Borg cube, even like at her top days, is just like, it's fine.
I'm just going to say that the cube must be spending all its energy on the beacon or something.
Also, there's like weapons emplacements that you can like strafe like it's Star Wars A New Hope and like take out the weapons emplacement so they can't shoot you.
I have a feeling many aspects of this were inspired by Star Wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get clear and discover the location of the beacon, which is deep in the heart of the cube. So, very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Geordi fears that no pilot, even his daughter super pilot Crash LaForge, could get the Enterprise close to that beacon. But Data's like, no, I fucking got this.
And everyone's like, I don't think you do got this. And he's like, just trust me.
Come on, just give me a chance.
See, what they should have done is taken the Defiant, which is much smaller and has much more powerful weaponry, and they could have navigated through there really easily.
I don't think they knew at that time that they were going to be in this exact situation, but
True.
I guess they could like have warped back to the Fleet Museum, gotten the Defiant, and come back. But...
Apparently, it's like 5 minutes away. Yeah. Which that's another thing about this entire finale is like space used to take time to traverse, but apparently now you just zip around wherever and it's fine.
I think that's been a problem with a lot of the newer Star Trek stuff for a while, though. Back on the Titan, Seven and crew watch in horror as the space dock and Earth's defenses finally fall, and the fleet begins targeting all major cities. Also, they lose Cloaked because the Borg kids manage to break out of the transporter room and go shoot the cloaking device.
Which, that's a good move to make, probably.
Yeah.
It does seem to take the fleet a weirdly long time to target Earth. Like, I feel like it's like 10 minutes of screen time where they're like, yep, we're targeting those cities. We're totally going to shoot them.
Targeting New York, targeting Cairo, targeting Paris. It's like they just love listing out all the cities that they're targeting really slowly, one by one. But yeah, thanks to Data's piloting skills, they reach the heart of the Enterprise, reaches the heart of the cube where the beacon is. But they discover that blowing up the beacon will blow up the entire cube.
Which, I mean, when there's a giant glowy thing at the very center of the ship, you got to figure there's good odds.
Come on.
That sort of thing will happen.
They take a somber few moments to decide if they're willing to sacrifice their 4 friends to save the entire galaxy. Worf and Riker decide to stay on the cube to try to rescue Picard.
Worf's like, man, for a second there, I thought we were going to actually survive this.
Yeah. It's like, you got 60 seconds and we got to blow this thing. Meanwhile, realizing that his plan of saying, "Hey Jack, stop being a Borg, come on, stop it, Jack," isn't having any effect, Picard rips out a cable and jams it into his own neck, which connects him to the Borg Matrix or something.
Yeah, so first, my first note on this is that the Borg Queen actually says that the only way you're going to get him out is if he chooses to leave. And I was like, since when does the collective work like that? Like, if you could just choose to leave, then Picard wouldn't have had the issues that he has. But also then, you just jam a cord in your neck and you're in the collective. Yep. Sigh.
Yeah, why not? Maybe Picard's got some, I don't know. But yeah, he finds Jack in there who's like, man, this being a Borg is great. And Picard is like, no, come back, let me be your dad. And Jackie's like, no. So Picard is like, okay, fine, I'll stay here and die with you. Then he gives Jack a big Matrix dad hug, which causes Jack to flash back on the 2 days they've known each other, as if it was a lifetime of cherished memories. Then Jack wakes up from his Borg trance and begins ripping wires out. Unfortunately, the Borg cube is in the process of getting destroyed since the Enterprise blew the beacon. The Borg Queen taunts Jack that even if he gets out, he'll be all alone. And Jack is like, no, I won't be alone.
So they destroy the beacon,
Right.
and then it flashes back, and it's like, signal lost. Continue last orders. And so they're going to destroy Earth anyway.
Yeah.
But then a moment later, the ship blows up, and that makes them not Borg.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what? Wait, what?
I feel like these scenes were edited out of order, and because, yeah, the way they did it makes absolutely no sense. That when they lose the signal, they continue their attack, but then when the Borg Queen dies, then they get de-assimilated. That makes no sense, because, like, but yeah, I feel like that those scenes were supposed to come before the beacon blew up.
Oh, maybe.
And they just felt like they had to throw in that line. Fortunately, Riker used what he believed were his dying moments to think about Deanna, which enables Deanna to get an empathic lock on everyone and beam them all out just in the nick of time. They fly away from the cube as it explodes. Back on the Titan, all the young people deborgify and Earth is presumably saved. Seven gives Crash LaForge a hug. On the Enterprise, Jack Crusher reunites with his mother after having ripped his Borg face thing off.
Yeah, he just ripped it off. It's all good.
Yeah. It's like, ow! Riker gives Deanna a kiss and a hug. Data, Worf, and Geordi give each other bro handshakes and back pats, and then Worf just falls asleep.
See, at this point, I made a note that's going to get resolved here in a second, but it's like, are there still changelings hiding throughout the fleet? Are they getting executed by the young people for not being Borg? Like, are they among all the officers who's like, oh, we're not Borg, we'll shoot you? And then I don't feel like the Queen would feel the need to live up to her agreements.
Yeah, probably a lot of them did die. It's like, no, I'm a changeling. Too bad.
You're not Borg, so that's kind of the important thing here.
The day is saved, and we begin the Return of the King wrap-up section of the episode.
Where Riker has his line. It's like, Stardate, let's just call it 1.
Yeah.
And I have
Why
the
not?
note, Stardates do not work that way.
You just, decide what you want the stardate to be. But yeah, he does his captain's log where he explains that they unborgified the young people using a transporter solution developed by, and then my hopes got up for like 1 second.
Me too.
And then it was like, Dr. Crusher, now head of Starfleet Medical.
Yeah, and my note is Beverly just whips up some transporter code and also a shapeshifter detector, just real quick.
Yep.
This also feels kind of out of order to me, because it's after all of this like wrap-up stuff that we cut to 1 year later.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like her becoming head of Starfleet Medical should have been like in that 1 year and not like in the 1 day after the disaster. I don't know.
Yeah, that probably would have made more sense if they just went 1 year later right now. And then, yeah. Whatever.
I mean, I guess you got to do the 7 of 9 promotion scene before that, but...
Oh, yeah. Yes, so yeah, that's, it's revealed that the changelings kept most of their prisoners alive, including Tuvok, who goes to the Titan, he explains that the rest of the Enterprise crew got pardons, and you, 7 of 9, and then 7 of 9 cuts him off. He's like, I know, I'm in trouble, I just resigned. And then Tuvok shows her Captain Shaw's last performance review of her, where he recommends her for promotion to captain.
Yeah, he really seems like, I don't like it, but like, that's probably how a captain's supposed to be. I'm just not that.
He seems drunk in this, like...
He kind of does.
So, she's pretty good. I recommend her for captain. Why not? Also, it's noteworthy that this happened before she mutinied on the ship, so... But I guess this is his last recommendation of record, so...
So, in the initial draft for the finale, it says that in this section, there were several additional scenes that they wanted to film. One was like with Data and Soji, who's like the android girl from season 1 that you didn't watch.
Sure.
And then it gets revealed that Rolaren survived and was found alive alongside Tuvok. And also, when 7 gets promoted, Admiral Janeway and Captain Harry Kim are supposed to be there. But all of that got cut for budget reasons.
Aw. Couldn't afford Janeway and Kim. But yeah, Tuvok is like, resignation denied, Captain.
Given how many like officers they probably just lost, I don't think they can afford to let her resign, even if she wasn't recommended for promotion to captain.
Yeah. That's a good point. Raffi is now a hero in the news, so her son is now willing to let her meet her granddaughter.
Like, oh, you're not just garbage who loves conspiracy theories above all. You actually have been doing good things. Okay.
Worf is like, wow, I wonder who leaked that information. And then Worf and Raffi have a big hug.
Yeah, it's a cute moment. I think it worked as a wrap up for her character pretty well.
For now.
For now, right, yeah.
Data tries to work through his feelings with Counselor Troy, who barely hides her boredom and annoyance.
Yep, she's like, look, we've gone over our hour by a whole lot again. And then Data just keeps talking, and she's looking at like vacation packages.
Yep.
It's a great moment.
1 year later. The Enterprise D now sits on display at the Fleet Museum, but it doesn't really fit in that, like...
No.
You'd think they would have, like, built a bigger ring thing to go around it, but
right.
Whatever.
That was my thought also. I was like, oh, that's just really taking up that whole thing and overlapping everywhere. All right.
Yeah. Riker, Picard, and Geordi take one last look at the bridge before initiating shutdown. Picard and Beverly fly newly minted Ensign Jack Crusher to his first posting. So it's like Ensign after 1 year. Like, this is probably also part of your, like, half of Starfleet got killed. So they put him on the fast track program through the Academy. And so, yeah, okay, you're an Ensign now. Beverly and Jack spring a surprise on Picard by revealing that Jack has been posted to the USS Titan, now rechristened the Enterprise G.
I hate it. It's so ugly that I saw it coming from a mile away, that they're like, oh, we're going to call this the Enterprise now, which really does a disservice to the Titan, honestly. But I'm like, but no, why is that the Enterprise? It's hideous. Can you not just...
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, and it's a little... It's like, couldn't you have named it like the USS Shaw or something?
You want to celebrate Picard, make it the Picard. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just...
Yep. Yeah, it's a little... oh, well. Even though I think we predicted this exact thing would happen in, like, episode 1 or something.
Yep.
Go back and listen to that episode to prove us right or wrong. So Jack barges onto the bridge and starts barking out orders and sits in the captain's chair before Captain 7 of 9 kicks him out and puts him in his new place. Special counselor to the captain.
Yeah, and my note here is, like, special counselor to the captain. What kind of BS made-up position is that? Clearly nepotism is at play.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, does it mean she doesn't trust him to actually do anything? I don't know.
I mean, you probably shouldn't trust an ensign fresh out of the academy to do any, like, official Starfleet position, but at the same time, like, give him a job that's an actual job.
Yeah, it's a little weird. First Officer Raffi says that the ship is ready for her maiden voyage, and notes that 7 better come up with a cool captain thing to say to make them go. 7 ponders for a moment before coming to the obvious choice. With a little smirk, she gives her order. Let's boogie fucking woogie.
No, I'm really annoyed that they cut that. I get that they're trying to be, like, cute, but I'm just like, just write something for her to say. Like, why you got to do that?
Yeah, because they didn't come up with it yet. They got to come up with that for the new show.
If
there is a new show,
right?
We got to 1040 LA, where the whole next gen crew throw 10 down
forward.
Oh yeah, 10 forward. Why did I say 1040? 10 Forward Avenue, LA, where the whole next gen crew throw down their last drinks before an unseen Guinan kicks them out.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, Guinan's giving us the stink eye again, but we're not going to show her. Yeah. I mean, that would cost money.
Data tries to toast with his young lady from Venus limerick, but he is cut off, and Picard gives a much better toast.
You've given up your chance to give the toast.
Yep. It's like Julius Caesar Act 4 or something like that. Brutus to Cassius. We gotta be on this tide. We gotta make use of this tide while it's good or whatever. Then he pulls out a deck of cards, and all 7 sit down for a few hands of poker as credits roll and the classic next-gen theme plays.
And I assume Guinan is extra annoyed.
Yeah, Guinan's like, oh, now they're playing poker?
But I saw a thing with that Terry Metalis was saying in an interview where apparently he just like had them play poker for 40 minutes and just film the whole thing so that he could choose like what bit to use.
Oh, nice. I like that it was like Ryzen 6 card or something like that.
Yeah, and apparently, like, I don't know if maybe that was the last scripted line or if that was the first unscripted, but he's like, oh yeah, I just let them like riff and play poker for those 40 minutes and just come up with all the stuff that they wanted to say.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I have no idea if that was made up or not. But also, apparently they when asked like who won, they're like, he's like, yeah, I think that the rest of them always kind of made sure that Patrick won.
So yeah, we get that nice little poker thing while the credits play, and then we get a mid-credit scene where Jack settles into his quarters, and suddenly a familiar voice speaks up behind him. Q. Wait, aren't you dead? Says Jack. Yeah, don't worry about it, says Q.
I was hoping the next generation wouldn't think so linearly.
Yeah. Yeah. I've decided to mess with you, just like I did with your dad, so watch out for me to be showing up and doing all kinds of crazy hijinks if you get that new show.
Yeah, right.
So you use this scene if you want to show it to like the Paramount Plus producers to get that show going.
Yeah, apparently they didn't really have the money for John Delancey either. He notes that like they just shot the scene where like Picard confronts Jack in these same quarters.
Uh-huh.
And then like Terry Matalas had gone to John Delancey and be like, hey, can you come over and do this thing real quick? And so they had 20 minutes free that they're like, we can film this in this one period. And so they like quietly shuffled him in after that one scene was done. Like, okay, just film this real quick and we'll be.
Nice. But yep, finally, that is the end of Star Trek Picard. Forever.
Yep. It's, overall, I guess I'll get into that since we're here at the end.
Sure, why not?
I feel like emotionally, they really stuck the landing here. Like all the character stuff were and like the beats that people had and all this stuff. I feel like it all landed really well.
Sure.
I liked all of that. I also loved the visuals. Like there's some amazing Enterprise D action going on, like flying through the Borg cube. At one point, Troy does like a weird like drifty maneuver to get right over them to beam them up.
Oh yeah.
It all looks really good to me also. So like visually, emotionally, I really think they did a great job like finishing out this season. In terms of story, it was just like
yeah.
Like I feel like they knew where they wanted people to be for these emotional moments, and then they just had to make up some BS that made no sense to get them to all those places. And that kind of annoys me.
Yeah, and I think like you were saying, I think it felt like, because, nowadays everybody's always saying, you always have to end with like a big, like super loud battle with a million things going on. And so, yeah, like you were saying, I think that like Titan part kind of was not necessary.
Yeah,
I think it would have been way more tight if like it was just like the Enterprise part.
Yeah,
but
I mean, they don't accomplish anything. It doesn't feel like, and so it's all just like wasting time until the Enterprise is finished with what they're doing.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm pretty happy to see. I'm glad they didn't kill anybody,
except for Shaw.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very mad about that. But I'm glad they didn't kill like any of the next gen people.
Yeah, and I saw a thing about that where they asked Terry Matalas about it, and he was just like, I don't think I have it in me to kill like my heroes from my like childhood or whatever, or my younger days. I forget exactly how he says it. I don't know how old this guy is. I gotta look up how old he is. He's 1975, so I guess he would have been like 20s. Or late teens when the show was on.
Teens and 20s, yeah.
But, so yeah, he's like, I don't think I had it in me, but I wanted you, like, with the scenes with Worf and Riker and Picard on the cube, he's like, I wanted you to believe that maybe it could happen. And he's like, another showrunner probably would have, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. The overall, like, kind of the emotional character type, beats and moments were all good. And it was mostly a satisfying payoff, and it's nice to see them have their little poker game at the end and all that stuff. Yeah. So, yep, happy with that. Some things I'm not happy about. That Captain Shaw is dead. I'm a little irked that we've just forgotten that Laris exists.
Yep, it's I one of the comments I saw on Reddit was like, I guess Laris is bowing out. It would have been nice to get some closure on that.
It's like she's at that bar that she invited Picard to, just always waiting for him to show up, and he just never does. It's like she didn't even get a phone call or anything. What happened to those other good Borg? Are they okay? Maybe that's something that if there's a new show, they can explore that.
Yeah, there should have been some sort of acknowledgement of these other Borg from the previous season. It's like not mentioned at all, which is bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, they're very, very vaguely referred to when Shaw was like the Borg, the real Borg.
Right, yeah.
Implying that those Borg aren't the real Borg in his opinion. Yeah, but other than that, it's like, but what's going on with the Borg? I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to see the conference room on the Enterprise, but yeah, what you gonna do?
They would have had to rebuild that too, or main engineering. Like, there's a reason that everyone just goes to the bridge and stays there, I guess.
Yeah, like there was a scene when they were kind of like planning out what they want to do. I was like, this scene should happen in the conference room.
Budget.
Yeah. What do you think of the title, The Last Generation?
So, in the wiki, it actually says that The Last Generation is supposed to refer to the last generation of Borg.
Okay.
Who are featured in a desperate attempt to revive the collective in this episode.
Okay, why not? The last generation, the one Borg that was left who tried to...
Well, I mean, there were a couple more that were fighting war for
Oh,
Riker.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, you could read it that way, as in like the final generation of Borg, or you could still read it as like the previous generation of Starfleet has just saved everybody.
Sure.
I think it works fine, especially as a bookend to like the next generation as the first episode name.
Yeah. I'll accept it. Also, the Jack Crusher Crash LaForge romance that they started setting up, like, kind of went nowhere.
I don't know, maybe it did. Like, Seven tells everyone to just ignore what Jack said, and Crash LaForge is like, I always do. And so I was like, oh, so maybe there's like something going on there.
Interesting. Maybe we can explore that if there's a new show.
Yep.
But yeah, no Miles O'Brien.
Nope, I was very sad. Like, just get him in there for a minute. Let him be the transporter guy. Come on.
No Cisco. I really would have loved for Cisco to show up like in that big final battle, just like as a crazy like space Jesus character. Like, but no.
I will disrupt the signal to the Borg. Give you time to whatever. That would have been so random though. So I mean, given how ridiculous some of the story points were, though, I don't even know that it would have been worse.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, there's one note in here that this episode marks the first official Star Trek series finale since Enterprise's These Are the Voyages in 2005.
Have we had a Star Trek show even end since then?
It goes on to say it's also the first conclusion of a series since the return of Star Trek to television with Star Trek Discovery in 2017.
Okay, so yeah, good job.
That'd be more impressive if it felt like they'd planned out a 3-season arc from the beginning instead of just like 3 seasons of completely random, not connected story.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, I think it's a good. I think they said they set out to kind of like wrap up the Next Generation again after kind of the movies undid the Best of Both Worlds. I think they accomplished.
You mean all good things?
Yeah, all good things. Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they accomplished that pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you don't because before, and as gets pointed out a lot in various discussions, before now, the wrap up we actually get for the Next Generation crew is like Data dying and people are sad and like that wasn't the best wrap up for anybody.
Yeah. So this is much more satisfying. I'm happy sending the Next Gen crew off now.
Also, did you notice at the beginning, I didn't mention it, but that the Enterprise D replaces the Titan as the ship in the logo?
Yes, I did notice that, and I forgot to write it down as a note. So yes.
Also, the Borg cube is in the background of the shot instead of Vadic's ship, which makes sense. It's gone now.
Yeah. Cool little, cool. I don't even know if that's like an Easter egg, just a cool little like thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we got to wrap up the show.
Yep.
Unless you have any other stuff.
In one of the interviews I read with Terry Matalas, they ask him specifically, so you're like setting up this spin-off with these characters, right? And he was like, well, not really. Like, I'm not in. I wanted you to get this feeling that things were continuing.
Sure.
But I'm not specifically trying to like set up a spin-off with these characters. Not that it couldn't happen. It's just that's not what I was going for. And then there's questions about what is he actually going to be doing next and other things. So yeah. I don't know that the future of these folks is as possible as a lot of people want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be super disappointed if they never had a show. I mean, yeah, I'm happy to leave it where they left it. So
there's a lot of Star Trek on TV right now, and most of it doesn't seem like it's all that great. So I would rather they leave it here than make a bad show with these characters.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So yeah. But, if there is a show, I'll probably at least check it out, so.
Somebody made a really good point. It's like, why is Vadic so scared of the Borg Queen? When we actually meet the Borg Queen, she's kind of powerless in a lot of ways.
That's a good point. We may never know.
Why didn't Picard go to an allied force outside of Starfleet for help? Were Vulcans busy with Logic Day or something?
Yeah, I think we talked about that last episode.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, hey, like Klingons, someone come help us out.
But yeah, that's I'm good.
Yeah. So I think overall I'm pleasantly surprised with the season.
Yeah, it's definitely a big improvement over previous seasons. Like there's no doubt about that. Even with all the ways I feel the story kind of falls down in the last 2 episodes, it's not even comparable to the overall season story being so ridiculous in the previous season.
Yeah. Whereas like, in the season 2, I started off kind of hopeful and then just kept getting dumber and dumber, and we just kept getting weirder and weirder stuff, like with, his mom, and then his like great aunt or whoever that lady was that he had to rescue and all that stuff. I don't know. So solid, generally good season, good next gen wrap up. It's been a fun journey, but I guess we're done talking about this show for ever, since the show is now over. But if you want to keep listening to us, we still got the Deep Space Nine reviews going on. Star Trek Deep Space Nine review show, Undeclared Bajor.
That's what it's called.
Yep. So go find that. If there's any upcoming shows that you'd like us to review, you can like comment them down below. I know we got lots of suggestions last time, but like like especially like older shows that there's a lot of episodes. I don't know if I'm ready to like dive into one of those quite again right now. But like if there's like I had pitched like Silo, but you don't want to get Apple TV Plus or something.
Correct.
So if there's any interesting looking upcoming shows that maybe we could review, someone can go recommend those. If you're one of our Apple Podcast listeners, you can go to the YouTube video and put your suggestions or whatever, or just keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because that's where all the new stuff will be showing up anyway, and then we'll put it on the podcast platforms that you can go find. But if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Check out the description. I may put some links to interesting things in there. My name is Fletcher. About to say goodbye is Data.
Adios.
And for the final time, remember, do not seek anger, do not seek blame, do seek a good poker game with some friends. The